everyone, you're welcome back to my channel. My name is Cynthia. So in today's class I'm going to be showing you how to make this beautiful dress. So let's get started. So at first I'm going to be cutting the upper part of this dress first. I'm going to be using this silk fabric and I'm going to be using 4 yards. All right, so if you're using a lace, you can go ahead and cut out the lacy edge of your fabric to do the neckline, but I'm going to be using an Ankara fabric to do mine so that it can sort of give a contrast to this material. I'm using 4 yards and I'm just using a tiny little piece of Ankara that I'm going to be using to do that neck area. So let's get into it. So this style is a kimono bodice. What this means is the bodice and the sleeve are cut together. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to cut the front first, then I'm going to be using the front to cut out the back. So in order for me to cut out the front, I'm going to place my fabric on fold. Just fold your fabric into 2. To determine the amount of the fold over, you need your center back to your desired sleeve length measurement like this. Then I'll go ahead, I'll rule my guideline so that I can have a starting point for my pattern. From the guideline, I'm going to measure down my nipple point length, then my waist length and 1/2 inch seam allowance. Then I will extend the lines. This is my guideline, my nipple points, that is my shoulder to nipple length, then my waist length and 1/2 inch seam allowance. Starting from the center front, I'm going to measure my center back to my desired sleeve length measurement. In my own case, it was 24 inches with the allowance. Next, on the bust point line, I'm going to be inputting my bust circumference measurement divided by 4 plus my seam allowance. So moving on to the waistline, I'm going to be inputting my waist circumference measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inch seam allowance. And there will be no dot. The next thing now is to connect from the waistline to the bust point like this. Next, we're going to be slanting the shoulder. So from the center front on the guideline, you input 3 inches. Then you go to where your sleeve opening is at this side. You come down by 2 inches. Then you connect it to the neck like this. Then after that, you add 1/2 inch seam allowance back to the slanted line. That's going to be for your shoulder joining. The sleeve opening is going to be having elastic band at the round sleeve like this. So in order to add more volume, we subtract 2 inches from the upper part. Make sure you add it back to this your bust point line. Just measure from that sleeve area, come down by 2 inches like this. Then you connect it back to your measurements this way. So the connection from the bust point to the sleeve, make sure you round your hand so that it's not going to be square. So the next thing is for us to input our neckline. For the neck width, I'm going to be measuring 4 inches. The neck depth for the back is 1.5 inch. Then I'll connect it like this. We are going to be using this to cut out the back first. So for the front neck depth, I'll go to my waistline and starting from the folded edge, I'm going to measure ½ inch inward like this. From the neck width, you are going to connect it to this ½ inch measurement. So just place your ruler from this neck width, connect it to this ½ inch. We're not going to be cutting it yet until we're done using this to cut out the back. I'll cut on the back neckline, cut out the shoulder, cut from the waistline, and then I'm going to use this and cut out the back. So I'm done cutting it out. I'm going to be using this to cut out the back. I've placed another fabric on fold. First thing I'll do is to measure my zip allowance. I'm going to be using 1 inch for my zip allowance. Let the center front be on your shocked line, and then you cut it out exactly the same shape. I'm done cutting it out. I'm going to remove the front so that I can slant the zip allowance. So this is the back. On the waistline, I'll go in by ½ inch and blend it back to this point. Don't forget to notch your zip allowance. So the back is ready. You have 2 pieces for the back. If you open it, you have 2 pieces for the back. I'll keep the back aside. Then I'm going to work on the front again. The front, what I will do is for me to cut off the neckline, starting from the shoulder. Just cut the front neckline. So this is the front. This is how the front is. We are going to be attaching this to the front part later on. It's going to go through from the waistline all around to the back neckline, then back to the front neckline. So I've cut out this. The width of this is 4 inches, exactly 4 inches. That's the width of this. Then I fold it into 2 and iron it, and I also fuse it with stay. There's stay inside. You can see there is paper stay inside. The length on, if it's remaining, I'm going to be cutting out the excess. So if we open the front, we also have 2 pieces for the front. So this is how the front is. We have 2 pieces for the front. Like I said, we are going to be attaching this to the neck area. So we are done with the upper part, joining our, so this is how we're going to be sewing it. This is the back, and the back is into 2 pieces. So you place the front on it, right side to right side. Place the corresponding front on it, right side to right side. This is one side. So place it to the corresponding back side. So you take to the sewing machine now. You join together at the shoulder. You go and join the shoulders together. So let me just pin it. Please watch till the end so that you can see how I cut the lower part of the dress. Thank you. Don't join the shoulders together. The next thing I'm going to do before I close the side, I'll first create my elastic casing at this sleeve area. You can see the sleeve area. So just open it, and then you sew this sleeve, fold ½ inch inside, then you fold again so that you can create your elastic casing, and then you're going to insert your elastic inside afterwards. Your elastic, just wrap it around your sleeve, then you cut out 2. Then I will insert my elastic into my elastic casing. I've inserted the elastic at the sleeve hem. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to go to the sewing machine, and then I'm going to be attaching this strip that I already. You match the right side of this to the right side of the dress, and then you are going to sew along the neckline, starting from the front all the way to the back. When you get to the back, if you want your zip to run through the collar, you are going to slit it. So just take to the sewing machine, sew it starting from the front neck. You can see this is the front here. Match this right side to right side, and then you're going to stitch it together to your zip allowance, all the way to your zip allowance here. Then you cut it off, and then you come back to this other side, place them together right side to right side, and then you join it. But if you don't want your zip to go through the collar, you have to go to the sewing machine. First off, you join the zip allowance together, starting from the back neckline. You join for like 2 inches, then you bring your collar and sew it all around. It will go across through the neckline and then back to the front. You can do that, or you can decide to let your zip allowance, you can decide to let your zip go through the collar. Anyone that is easy for you, you do that. I think we should do that. So this is the front neckline. If you lift the front up, this is the front neckline. So open it. So you're going to be stitching your collar. You stitch together with 1/2 inch, starting from the front neckline, right side to right side, and then you're going to join together. When you're joining together, let the collar extend a little bit, so that by the time you are turning it, it will be okay. So I'll go ahead and I'll join it together with 1/2 inch. So I'm done attaching the collar to the neckline. Just trim off the excess here. Trim off the excess collar. So the next thing you want to do is for you to overlap the front together. Just overlap the front together like this. Can you see the way I've done it? Overlap it together like this. Just place one collar on top of the other collar. You can flip the back out of the way. You can flip the back out of the way so that it can be easy for you. This is the front part. Overlap it together on the waistline like this. Overlap it together on the waistline. Then you take to the sewing machine. You are going to join together here at this lower part. If you don't want it to be opening your breast, you can run a stitch here to whichever length you want the V to stop, so that it's not going to be opening your breast. So, but the first thing you need to do after overlapping, join them together at the bottom part. The sewing machine now, I'll place the 2 collars together on top of each other, and I'll run my stitch on top of them so that they can be together. From the good side, this is how it is. Can you see it? So the next thing you want to do now is to close the side of your dress. So take to the sewing machine, and then you close the side with 1 inch seam allowance. So my fabric is folded into 2. Then I'll fold it. I'm going to be folding it like this diagonally. into 4. Ensure you leave your zip allowance here because the center back is going to be open. The side seam will be unfold. This is the center front and it's going to be unfold. Then this is going to be your center back, is going to be open. So this is your center front. This folded edge here is your center front, and here is your center back. You can see your zip allowance here. This 1 inch is your zip allowance. This is your center front right here. So the next thing you have to do is I'm going to be measuring 19 inches downward. Your knee measurement, whatever your knee measurement is, you measure it, or where you want the drape to stop, because the drape will be by the side, wherever you want the drape to stop. So from this upper part, I'm going to be measuring 19 inches downward. And on this 19 inches point, I'll just extend the line. So this is 19 inches. I will extend the line. This is my knee length measurement. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is from the folded edge here, from the folded edge, I'm going to input my hip circumference measurement divided by 4 plus 3 inches. So my hip circumference measurement is 42 divided by 4, that will be 10.5 plus 3 inches. The reason for adding this extra 3 inches is because if you don't add additional 3 inches, by the time we are sewing this, we'll be sewing the side with just 1 inch. So you have 2 inches extra so that you can be able to work. You can even increase it if you like. All right, so from this point, I'm just going to roll it all the way down to the hem of the dress. So I'm just going to roll it all the way down to the hem of the dress. Or you can also input the same measurements here, input it at the hem so that you can connect it for it to be very straight. So at the hem, starting from the folded edge, I will input my hip circumference measurement divided by 4 plus 3 inches. Then I will roll it straight. So this is what we have. The next thing is just for you, with a slight curve, you blend this line back to the side seam like this. Doesn't really have a specific measurement, just a slight curve. You connect from the knee, just blend it back to this side. Can you see? So this is what you have now. So the next thing you're going to do, from the folded edge, you're going to input your waist circumference measurement divided by 4. If you don't want it to have pleats on the waistline, just measure your waist circumference measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inch seam allowance. So that's it. But if you want it to have some pleats, like, you know, it's on the style is having some pleats, so from the folded edge, I will input my waist circumference measurement divided by 4 plus extra 4 inches so that I can have some pleats around the waist area. My waist circumference is 32. So from the folded edge, I'll measure 32 divided by 4, which is 8 inches, plus extra 4 inches for the pleats. So the next thing now is to cut it out. And when you cut it out, you're going to notch this point. So from the center front, like I said, input your waist circumference measurement divided by 4. You mark it, then you add extra 4 inches. Then you are just going to notch that point. Just notch it like this. Can you see? You notch it like that. So the next thing you're going to be doing now is for you to take to the sewing machine. All right, so if you open it, the back is into 2 pieces. You can see how the back is. So this is the back. So this is the back. You're going to be placing the front on top of it, right side to right side. Right side to right side. So you take to the sewing machine, starting from we are going to cut this out before we put the shape. Right side to right side, ensure you align it properly. So starting from your notching on the waistline here, you can see the notching. Starting from this notching, you're going to sew with 1/2 inch all around, all the way to the hem of the dress. You do the same thing to the second side. Starting from your notching, you sew all around back to the hem. So I'll go ahead now and do that on the sewing machine, and then I'm going to bring it back to show us. All right, so I've joined it together at the side, starting from my notching here, it's all the way to the hem. I've joined it. So this is how it is now. So this is one side of the zip allowance here. This is the second side of the zip allowance. All right, so this place that you're joining started from, this you're joining, the two places, they are your side seam here. So when you're aligning it, when you're joining it to the upper part, you ensure you align it properly. So let me bring the upper part. So this is the upper part of my gown. So I'll turn it to the right side. Then I'll take the lower part. I'll match them together, right side to right side. And like I said earlier, first you match this one side of the zip allowance with the zip allowance here, and then you're going to pin it. So you pin it together. Then the side that you're joining is at this lower part where you started the joining. You know, you join all around where your joining started from here. Match it with the side seam. Then you pin. Then look for the second side joining at this lower part. Match it with the side seam at the upper part as well. And then you pin. Then your zip allowance on the lower part and at the upper part, you match them together and pin. So the next thing you need to do now is to take to the sewing machine, and then you're going to join together at the waist area. Then you're going to be pleating all the excess at the lower part to fit into the upper part. I'm done joining the upper part and the lower part together. So the next thing now is for you to close the center back. So mash it together, and then from the waistline you're going to measure 9 inches downward, and then from that 9 inches you're going to close this side all the way down to the hem of the dress using your zip allowance. So I added 1 inch zip allowance, so I'm going to close it with 1 inch allowance all the way down to the hem of the dress. And when I'm done, I'm going to fix my zipper. And the next thing after fixing the zipper is to hem the bottom part of your dress, and that's it. Your dress is ready. And don't forget, like I said earlier, you will top stitch the collar together to your desired length. All right, so just overlap it the way I've done here, and then you just stitch on it. If you have not subscribed to my channel yet, please kindly subscribe, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. So you can bring it out.